What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, got something a little bit special for you. Starmancer has actually started to roll out content again. So that's good. Starmancer is one of those games that released about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's been a little while. It was a very pretty colony survival game that had absolutely gorgeous presentation. Just a really good looking game. But unfortunately, it was very buggy and had a lot of things on the foundational level that just did not work. Like, a lot of the systems kind of crashed into each other, a lot of the things bumped elbows, and even for an early access, it was a game that was very difficult to play around some of the systemic flaws that existed inside the core gameplay loop. Well, over the course of the last year and a half or so, the developers have been entirely restructuring the game and getting it reset back up to make everything work. They've got themselves a public roadmap right here on the dashboard that you can take a look at. And since the last time we've played the game, I'm pleased to report I played the game for about 2 or 3 hours prior to the recording of this video. Stability does seem to have improved. They've got this meter halfway full up. They've released most of the Doctors and Diseases update, and they've released most of the Wilderness and Resources updates, which means that pretty soon we're going to be on to Guns and Equipment. So that'll be kind of fun. And so it seems like this game is kind of beginning to hit its stride. Is it weirdly quiet in here, or is it just, it says that the music volume is on, okay? I was just thinking to myself, it seems awfully quiet in here right now while I'm doing this spiel. Starmancer is currently in early access, as you can tell from the roadmap. If you wanted to get it, I got a link for you down below. And then on top of that, you can also take a look if you wanted to get my Discord and my Twitch stream down there. Let's go ahead and start a new game. Pretty solid chance that on the day this video goes live, I will be able to stream it. So we will name a game here, and I love everything about this game when it comes to the visuals, man. Like, even like the load screens and whatnot are really immersive. So the beginning of the game, anomaly detected. No, this isn't good, not good at all. We've crashed in uncharted systems and the long-range warp drive is unresponsive. We're stuck here, boss. It ain't Earth, but it's home. Okay, so we're gonna have to wake up some colonists here. In this game, you are an AI. You see this big, evil, I can't do that, Dave, red eye in the middle of the base? That's who we are as the player, and our job is to keep our humans alive for as long as physically possible, and I'm pretty happy with this new update. We're going to be jumping our base in between various locations, and there's going to be things we can scavenge, and there's going to be enemies around, and zombies, and stuff that's trying to kill us. I haven't figured out how to go to, like, a planet yet, but the planets are selectable in the background. I just haven't gotten there as of right now. First thing we need to do, though, is we need to clone some colonists. So let's get to it. If we click on the core, we can unlock a colonist archetype. Over here, we have a character that is a potty mouth, but is also speedy. They have skills in cleaning, and they have skills in strength. We've got a character over here that is excitable and a pacifist, who is a worker and a strength character. And then we've also got an insomniac nyctophobe, whatever that means. Afraid of the dark, I guess. Okay. I would have figured that would be noctophobe, but I guess it's got like a different Greek root or something. Anyways, these got mining skill and strength. We can also refresh this like as much as we want. It says you can only refresh it like 3 times, but I've refreshed it a ton and it doesn't really seem to care. This person is tolerant and a fast learner and has really good mining and cleaning. We'll take them. So I'll unlock that ego. That cost me 100 points, and we're going to need somebody else too in here that's decent at other stuff. I don't know if it's a bug that I can refresh as much as I want, but I've been refreshing as much as I want. This person's a researcher, a doctor, and apparently they've got high health skill. That might not be a bad idea. We don't have anybody that's particularly good at building, but I feel like we can work around that. If nothing else, that means that we have a doctor if everything else falls apart. And just like RimWorld, it's always a good idea to have a doctor. Let's go ahead and we'll use some biomass over here to get this guy spawned on in. And once this ticks on up to 100%, we'll have ourselves a new colonist. Here comes our first vat birth. There we go. Our first colonist is now available. There are no tasks inside the base at the moment. Inside this core area of our space station, it'll produce oxygen, it'll have temperature regulation, so we don't need to worry about that too much. But what we do need to do is send this guy outside. And in sending him outside, we want to grab all this we can grab all this DNA here, if at all possible. And then we also need to grab some food so that people don't starve once things get moving. Now, if you keep an eye on this guy, you'll note that he'll go outside. Anytime they go through an airlock, he should put on a spacesuit so we don't have to worry about him suffocating or anything else like that. Once he's finished off the task of gathering all these goodies and he's brought all of our Happy Meals inside, hopefully with the toys intact, because that was the best part of the Happy Meal at all times, we can also get some DNA so that we can grow a few more colonists. I'd like to have 2 to 3 before we push too much further on into the game. We're also going to want to get some crystals together. That's going to allow us to expand and make our base a little bit bigger. Crystals are the baseline material used for building things like floors and building things like walls and equipment and manufacturing and stuff like that. So we're going to need quite a bit more of it. Now that we've gotten another batch of DNA from his harvesting, we can grow our secondary colonist, which is Ran Harding. Ran Harding is out, and look at that. She came with a cute little pink spacesuit. That's going to help out with our workflow. That's actively going to allow us to get things taken care of a little bit quicker. I don't know if we're going to have... We do have enough DNA to get another clone. I'm going to go ahead and do it because there's no reason not to. This next clone, though, definitely needs to be a worker. Like somebody that can build things. Someone with solid construction skill is pretty much unavoidable for this third one. There's someone that's quite good at cooking and also construction. The downside is this individual is mute and cannot talk. And I don't know how that's going to affect things over the long term. I know that your little guys, they really enjoy talking to each other. They frequently have little conversations. And so it makes me a tiny bit worried, but we'll give it a go. We've got, what are those? Potato seeds for our first farm. Nice. Looks like we're also looting up some food. I think it's probably a good idea while they work on that. Let's start thinking about expanding out our base and making things a little bit nicer on one side or another. I'll probably just expand this out like so. I don't know. I will probably end up dropping that airlock. What? Colonists get sad when bad things... Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware of the fact we're in the depths of space. Everything is terrible. Everyone is going to be upset with me as the overseer. But they better keep it between their teeth. Otherwise, I'll liquefy them, dude. I'll put them back inside the DNA vat. Tell me I'm kidding. Construction is underway for the first little piece of our base over here. That will be very helpful. We got to be careful before we actually take the top off the airlock over here, though, or we're going to have a bad time. I'll more than likely set this area up to maybe be manufacturing. I think I'm going to need to hand draft somebody to get rid of these debris piles. But how are we doing on toilet time right now? Dude, are you going to, like, die? Why'd you go to sleep outside, bro? Don't do that. Okay, he's well read. It's fine. He's gonna wake up just in time. I can only imagine that he did some kind of arithmetic calculation there, being like, well, I've got to sleep for 6 hours, but I've got 7 hours worth of air, so like, eh. Now that our free time has ended on our shift scheduling, they should get back to work and start putting in some floors. I would like to... Oh, look at that. He took a dump outside. Nice. Your little guys, they do leave little Tamagotchi poops all over the place. That's just going to be something you've got to learn to deal with. Learning to deal with your bio-waste is a big part of, like, the early game and figuring out where everything can go. I'm going to click on that, and we'll get rid of that debris pile next so that's all nice and whacked. There we go. Debris pile is gone. I need another floor. Just, you know, right there if the tooltip will let me see. And then we just need to slap in some walls here. There's our wall slappage. Now that the walls have been pushed on in, I love the building animation for the walls. This game strikes a very careful balance between like 3D and 2D sprites, and I think it just works out great. I probably mentioned it the last time I played this game too, but one of my most favorite graphic styles is 2D sprites on top of 3D. Yeah, you guys tear that down, and what you'll see is that the air starts to spread. You actually have to have a hole right there. This area, so one thing that I've learned about this game is in general, building on the indoors, if you're doing machinery and whatnot, is a little bit of a bad idea because machinery creates heat and it also generates noise, which will slowly drive your colonists nutty. So this little area over here, what I'm thinking is we make it kind of a storage area. Now, I don't know what the front side of the shelf is. I'm going to guess it's the rounded side. But if we can get some shelves put in over here, That'll give us some baseline storage space for the early game, which will make things easier. If you're wondering why she's still wearing a spacesuit, it's because there's a bug right now. It's not like a hugely consequential bug, but there is a bug. Oh, he's still drafted? Oops. My bad, man. I didn't mean to leave you drafted for that long. There's a little bit of a bug where if someone builds an outdoor area and closes it, and then you destroy the airlock and come inside, they never take off their spacesuit. The good news is they'll take off their spacesuit the next time they go through an airlock, but you just got to keep an eye on their oxygen so that you can take them outside manually and bring them back in. It's one of those really, really weird little tiny specific bugs that doesn't come up very often, but it is an odd thing. It's just because the suit on, suit off is linked to the airlock. The next thing we are going to need a research bench. There is just no way around it, so let's go ahead and slap one of those in. We are probably also going to need toilets so that my people stop pooping everywhere. Unfortunately, we don't have enough crystals to get ourselves a secondary toilet, and these dookies right here are right next to our food supply, which is bad because dookies in this game, they cause germs, which are kind of like an invisible stat for a room that makes your food and like your water and your people get sick. And so you just got to kind of watch out for it. He actually used the proper receptacle right there for taking a dump. But now that we've got the research bench built, we need to figure out a way to deal with our biomass. And I personally think the best way to deal with the biomass is that we should put in another floor out here. And it's also going to necessitate that we have a power grid. So we've actually got a lot of things in front of us that we need to knock out. Let's go to the tech tree, and we will begin by going after the waste recycler, because he's going to have to do basic power first, then waste recycler. So that'll knock out both the things we need in order to make this work. And then, of course, I will put in a standard floor probably out here. That seems pretty much fine by me. That's okay. We can have the low oxygen's going to be for this outdoor area. The game doesn't like it whenever you have like a platform or something that doesn't have oxygen on it. Next up, we've got our little platform ready to go. We're going to put most of our power resources out here, and we're going to put most of our manufacturing out here because it completely and totally avoids the issue of generating heat. This game's got a little tiny bit of an oxygen not included vibe, where a lot of your manufacturing and a lot of your activities are going to have secondary effects on your base that are ultimately going to have to be dealt with. There's no way around it. But if you sort of plan ahead, you can sort of cheese your way around it. I'm going to start sending people out to harvest things from along these little areas. We are going to need walkways to connect all this, like so. And it looks like we've got more meals over there. We've got more crystals. That's good because we are pobre right now, and we are going to need a lot more resources if we want to build up this base. Like at least 3,000 or 4,000 crystals before we can do the next round of upgrading things. So we have officially unlocked the waste recycler and the power grid now. That'll help. Downside to that situation is that we don't have the money to build the things that we want to build. So I've got to go on a outdoor resource exploitation spree of just annihilating this little asteroid environment to get the stuff that I want. I'll come back once I've got those resources, but for right now, all you really need to know is that you got to harvest off of these areas. Once you run out of stuff to harvest, your base has a jump drive that allows you to jump to a new system. This game will procedurally give you 3 options of where you want to go with a brief synopsis of what you're going to run into in that area, whether or not there's threats or whether or not there's resources, and you just kind of take a pick. Hey, we found a little treasure out here. That's an ice statue. Every now and again, you'll find a sculpture or some kind of treasure or something just on one of these little outer asteroid areas, and you can just sell it to a vendor. That's pretty much all that it's good for, is it's just free money so that you can build more stuff. As an update, I am still continuing to build walkways and to kind of invade these little areas full of space bugs to figure out whether or not there's going to be enough crystals on this map to get our basic industry to dispose of poos set up because, like, waste disposal is really the first thing on my mind. We don't have enough for a treadmill, which means we can't generate the power that we're... Oh, there we go, there we go, there we go. There's some crystals. Let's go grab those. I feel like we have enough ice right now to where I'm not going to worry about ice too much. But that should be like another 500 or 600 crystal. Then we can get out of here. So with 1.4 on the crystal meter, I think it's a decent idea for us to just get our first treadmill in. I don't know where I want said first treadmill. I guess I could put it outdoors. It makes things simpler. We'll put it outside. I think it generates heat anyways because of the electrical grid, so maybe it'll be fine. And then from there, we are full up on poos right now inside of our toilet. Unfortunately, there's no way to just, like, throw it out of the airlock, which logically is the thing that I would do. My guess is that I could probably set up a storage area for waste. Let's see if that works, actually. Let's be a little bit cheesy here. I think it's going to let me do it. I told them to store bio-waste inside this little nook over here. So hopefully they'll unload the toilet and everything, and they'll just throw it on the space rock on this side. And then we can bounce out to the next zone and see what kind of crystals we have available. Well, I had to tell her to do it manually, but the plan does appear to be working. The automation never seemed to take off and, like, handle that situation. But if I just tell her to do it with a draft order, it seems to work out okay. So I suppose that's how I will deal with all of the deuces that are now raining down all over my base. If nothing else, it got the waste out of my base, which is what I was concerned about. If I draft you, the poos were over there. Can I have you just, like, remove germs from that area? I don't know if that's actually going to be crazy effective. I don't see any indication that there's anything wrong with that tile, but I think it's time for us to move on out because we pretty much grabbed everything that there is over here. So our next area, we can go to the frozen wastes. And it looks like, well, it's pretty much the only place we can go because we don't have enough crystals to travel that far. So I guess we'll go to the waste station. This game does have salvaging. It's kind of a weird salvaging system. So you can find, like, derelict stations and, like, derelict facilities and things of that nature. But you can't, like, take stuff out of them to put into your base without paying a fat grip of crystals. Which is sort of like a weird mechanic that I haven't totally wrapped my head around just yet. Still, I assume that's to stop you from just looting a whole bunch of high-level technology from stations that you find. But it does feel a little bit weird that the station that is abandoned, there is no ownership of this location. I can't just, like, pick up their toilet and bring it into my base if I need a toilet. You know what I mean? It's one of those odd logic. Like, I get why it's there for gameplay design purposes, but for video game purposes, it's kind of a head scratcher. Or for realism purposes, it's kind of a head scratcher. What are you guys doing over here? You got any somebody go mine that water. I don't really want that water. Just looking around to see if there's any crystals in the area. This is the enemy, or this is the derelict station right here. We'll take a look at it in just a minute. Oh, there's like a Hawkins Refuge infested station over there. They've got Attis and Minerva are the planets that are around. The Frozen Wastes is the star. Cool. A little bit of parallax on the background might make it look nice too. I'm going to guess that they already played around with that though, and like parallax made something weird happen. We'll go over there. We will connect you with a walkway as well. You don't really need to worry about the slimes. They aren't a problem unless they get into our base. If they get into, well, that one's in our base right there. So see, that one's a problem. So I think we may have to kill it. They're technically edible if you cook it first. I don't want to kill him though. It says that we use them for disease research. Kind of like how you would use rats or something, I guess. I should probably draft up. There are no crystals on this map. That's going to be a problem. I think we're going to have to sell some things, so I'm going to have to set up a trade station pretty soon, too. Let's go back to our tech tree, and we'll get the trade pod. That way we can maybe start trading things, and we'll go for the storage bin as well. And then I need to draft one person. And let's get a little drafty, and let's send them on into the space station and see what's in here. A lot of blood, a lot of gore. Not a good sign. Normally I prefer locations that I'm thinking about sort of infiltrating to not be coated in huge amounts of human gore. Be my preference anyways. But I think that's kind of the way she goes on this one. Lots more blood in here. There's a battery right there. Oh, look at that. We unlocked a new dark cosmetic. Yeah, so there's different... so as you find enemy space stations and whatnot, this game has kind of like an emergent advancement. If you look at the walls that we built down here, they're just kind of like uncovered and they've got circuitry exposed and whatnot. You can find, as you find space stations that have different motifs and have different aesthetic designs like darkness or like rusty or like industrial, you learn those so that you can make your base kind of look however you want it to look as you get further on into the game. Nice little feature that encourages exploration, in my opinion. Is there anything over here? Not really. What's inside that thing right there? Scrap. Occasionally found when exploring star systems, you sell it for money. Okay, I will pick that up later then. Actually, looks like there's two separate sections in electro jelly. Is that one hostile? It feels like he's going to be hostile. Oh no, man. He's jiggling aggressively in my direction. It makes me feel nervous. And here we've got tomatoes and DNA fragments. Let's go ahead and tell him to grab that stuff. Okay. Looks like there's some posters and things in here. What are those, like turlets? I don't even know what those are. Can't get them selected either. It won't let you roll the camera around while you've got somebody drafted, which is kind of odd. Let's go ahead and we will dump that canister out for collection. We will dump you out for collection so that other people know they're supposed to come over here and grab that stuff. And then on this side, we've got a battery. Lots of batteries, actually. Oh, cool. Nice. Let's go ahead and dump all those on the ground for collection. And I think his draft is about good. I'm going to let him go back home and get to sleep because I don't want him to be too cranky. Now that our next shift has resumed, we do have enough mass right now to create a fourth guy. I don't know if it... Is it just me, or does it feel like more stations are getting... Were there that many stations here that were infested by the green stuff? Now let's go ahead and draft you. And I want you to take the scrap out of there. Unfortunately, it's like way off screen right now. Yeah, dump that all on the ground. And we've discovered scrap. That's good, because I want you to take the scrap. Go ahead and grab that. And then they're not really automatically grabbing the tomatoes and stuff off the ground either. So I may either have to give like a harvest order or... I don't know. They're not doing it, though. So I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more up in the inventory. The good news is, despite our kind of relative... Despite the fact that we've relatively not got a whole lot of money in order to move on and build things, I do have my trade pod up and running now. I think we're also going to have to find another dump spot to put our dumps, which is... one of those manual things I don't like doing, but since we don't have the money to get our processing up and running, unfortunately, I have to do this the manual kind of pain in the ass way. So the pod has been launched, and that gave us about $500 to play around with, actually. You effectively just click on this and you tell them the thing you want them to sell, and they just go ahead and sell it. Very rapidly, very cleanly, very efficiently. I would say we could probably get away with throwing... I mean, we don't have that much purified water left. We may want to start thinking about water purification, too. I wasn't even thinking about that. Water purifier is going to take us not that long, 1 day worth of research. So hopefully our researcher will come over here and work on that. With 4 waters, we should have enough to last us a day or so. So that pod comes back in about 8 minutes. Okay. So taking a look around the back end of the station, we've actually got a whole bunch of goodies back here too. It looks like we've actually found where the station staff were keeping their valuables. Things that I can throw into a trade pod and sort of get out of here. So it looks like, let me just dump all this stuff out onto the floor. It's a little bit messy, but moonshine, okay. It's inside of their mood stabilizers. Looks like we've got jewelry and stuff over here too. So we've got a legendary mysterious artifact and a pendant. That's super good. We're also learning all kinds of recipes and stuff over here, so life appears to be pretty good. I would definitely pick up the treasures first. Are you full up? I wish these guys could carry more items. I can get like a backpack for them or something. Oh, she's still carrying around scrap. That's what's going wrong here. There's pizza and there's DNA on a shelf. That does not seem like it would pass health inspection. But we are deep in the bowels of space, so I'm going to pretend like I didn't see it. What is that? Fuel that we can sell at the chemistry table? Okay, looks like we sold another batch, and it looks like they cleaned out the poos as well, which is even better. We're sitting on 1.9. Okay, all right. Now what we need to do is we need to... How's my water purification going? We almost there? Water purification appears to be done. So with water purifier over here, we need to turn dirty water into clean water. So I'm going to put you right there. That's $1,000 gone. I'm also going to need a battery over here. Otherwise, this power grid is just flatly not going to work, ever. So we'll go ahead and put that right there, too. And we're finally making some technological advancements. Cost us a little bit of cash, but we're getting there. Get the moonshine. I don't want... This needs to be a dry space station. Like, as much as I'm okay. Yeah, like, put all treasures inside of there. If we have treasures, sell them. I'm poor, and I would like not to be. I feel like that's kind of the general idea of all of human existence. But there we go. So we now have our water purifier. We can run a wire. And I think that should be good enough. Someone will come and run on the treadmill. And then running on the treadmill, that'll charge up the battery, which will then knock out, which will then knock out the water purifier, which, as you can see, it's turning our dirty water, which we have a huge collection of, into clean water. And since we only have like 1 or 2 clean waters left, before people start not feeling so good, oh, this little guy's going to steal from my power grid. Go ahead and terminate him. Terminate, yeah, go and kill the slime. He's eating my battery. Kill him. Kill him now. Kill the slime. There it is. It looks like he's like punching him or something. Either way, just get him off of our grid. He's sucking away all of our power. All right. So we're selling the artifact and we're selling the dookies real shortly. There it goes. We have our money. The pod doesn't really seem to have an animation. I was expecting the pod to be like thunk and like fire off into the air or something when it ships our stuff on out, but I guess not. The game also, like, I've been looking around for it, but I can't seem to find a command that, like, tags things to be picked up. So, like, I tried harvest, but it makes looting very inconvenient because you tell all of these things to dump out their stuff on the ground for collection, in quotes, but nobody ever seems to come by and collect them. So that kind of leaves me in a spot where it feels like there needs to be another tool that's kind of like the harvest tool that you use to rubber bandbox and tell people to pick up large swaths of items. But it's very inconvenient taking each individual colonist and manually having to go and have them pick stuff up, I guess, which is the way that I've been getting around it for right now. But this is one of the hitches that I've run into, is that looting stations is kind of a long, tedious process without these items automatically getting looted off the ground, I guess. So just something to maybe work on a little bit there. Yeah, take the DNA fragment over here because we definitely want the DNA because we can brew up a 4th colonist. We could, like, buy these beds off the station. For whatever reason, it makes you buy stuff off of stations. Well, don't place anything over there, but we do want to pick up the pizza. Like, random frozen space pizza that we found on a shelf next to someone's DNA is obviously always a good idea. Just shovel that straight into my mouth. Don't worry about where that's been or what potential war crimes that's been a part of at all. We could probably... It has been 6 days since our last oopsie, and someone died. That's good. So we can increase this by finding control chips. I don't think we found control chips just yet, but we can mine that out. And with the little bit of cash we have left... Oh, look at that! They're going and they're sleeping in the bunk beds because they're more comfortable. Cool. I need to, like, enable everything on these shelves as being allowed, and I don't think that that ever got done. I think, like, the first batch of shelves, for whatever reason, was totally fine with the way that it was configured, but, like, second batch, not so much. Did somebody... Dude, I think somebody sucked all my goodies. We've run out of power again. So I take it back. This guy just went and looted a tomato off the ground. It must have just been really, really far down the priorities list. Like, catastrophically far down the priorities list. But it seems to have worked. So I retract my previous statement. I sat here for a while. You may have noticed this episode has a lot of edits in it. It's because I'm, like, trying to get us further on in than we got last time, so that I can show off the game and how it's improved. I think this game, unfortunately, developed kind of like a... It developed a vibe, I guess, from people that were like, oh, it's super busted and buggy. And so I wanted to be fairly conclusive on this one, going back and checking back on it, like, almost 2 years later, with, like, what is improved. And honestly, from my perspective, I played this game for about 10 hours when it came out in early access, and the game was extremely buggy. Like, there were constantly situations where your colonists were just, like, staring at a wall and not doing anything. There were constantly fires breaking out, but nobody was smart enough to go firefight it. What I've seen so far is the AI's logic seems to be much more stable than it was previously. So if you purchase this game at early access, by no means is the AI and the scheduling perfect right now, but it does seem to be functioning quite a bit better than the last time I played the game, because once I had my most basic, simple production setup the last time I played, that's when things sort of started to fall apart. This time around, it seems like things are going okay, and they're keeping a decent track of the jobs they need to get done, while also taking care of them in the order that they come in. And so it seems like the AI logic, which was largely the major flaw with the original early access release, I'm inclined to believe the developers when they say that, you know, you saw the stability meter on the roadmap. It was half full. That to me implies they know that they've fixed a lot of the issues. It's not totally done yet, but in the couple hours that I have played the current build of Starmancer, I haven't had too many problems with the AI just absolutely kind of crapping the bed. And since that was sort of like the principal concern with the last build, I'm glad to see that that's been sorted out. So I've tried to go through every compartment and make sure that I got just about everything. And I think we did. I don't think there's any other small nooks or crannies that I haven't gotten my hands on. So once these guys get out of bed and they reconvene after their free time and come back aboard the station, we've got 1,900 bucks ready to go. Once we get that plus 500 anyways. I don't know if there's anything else that I'm actually open to selling here. Already sold the moonshine. Ice don't really have any value. Purified water doesn't either. Plus, we need that to be alive. So maybe I should not sell that. 600 bucks for mental stabilizers is not unforgettable either. But I think we're just going to want to get out of here. I got to wait for everybody to be on board, though. All right, everybody's on board. Let's see what other fun, magical places we can go to. It looks like we can teleport to another frozen waste adjacent system. with another, it's got another way station on it. That's kind of weird. You get like the same place twice. This place has a bunch of crystals. It has ore. So once we're ready to do that, we might, a great place to train strength and perform illegal chemistry. Oh, so it's like a space casino. Gotcha. There's zombies over here, and your guys can get infected with zombieism. So maybe that's not... maybe we'll wait till we build up some defensive systems. I think there are, like, turrets and, like, machine guns and stuff you can get so that when the zombies come rap-tap-tapping on your old space chamber door, you can say nevermore or whatever. You see how this place looks. We definitely have another wreck/ruin over on this side that we're going to have to connect with a walkway. We've got a whole bunch of walkways we've got to connect here, so I might as well knock those out now. So there's a walkway there, walkway there. We need a walkway there. Also right there, and possibly right there. Okay, that's all good to go. They should get out there and do it. We're purifying water, which is increasing the amount of foodles that we've got on board. We're selling all of our dookies, which I don't think dookies have that much inherent value. Bio-waste apparently worth 50 bucks. I don't know why our massive ripping turds are worth so much money. But you know what? At least something's profitable around here. If you're going to get paid to do something, it might as well be dookies, you know? It's that thing that everybody does every single day. Hopefully. I don't know. You're not doing it every single day. It may be time to, like, track down some more fiber for the old diet or something. But, like, I'm not going to presume to judge. You know, just mix in a few more, like, bell peppers and a little bit more broccoli, maybe some cauliflower, like, rice up some cauliflower in there. I'm trying to help, okay? I'm trying to help your intestinal health. This is not just a video helping you to decide whether or not Starmancer is worthy to be abandoned or revisited. This is a video where we are trying to make your GI tract function way better than it used to. Just, like, slapping some real efficiency, putting some thrusters on this thing. I've begun a little tiny bit of research because I think my next goal is going to be able to... I think the next thing that I'd like to be able to do is create an area for my colonists to sleep and eat inside of. So, like, basically a combination living area / mess hall. And I'll probably do it over here, is my thinking. Let's go ahead and take some standardized floors. We'll sort of, like, set that up over here, I suppose. It might be a little bit large. And it feels to me as though we may end up needing to play around with maybe a new oxygen exchanger. Like, I don't know how our oxygen grid is looking right now. Our oxygen looks reasonably strong. But will it stay that way once I connect it to this area, you know? It's a little bit worrisome. Basically, I need to get these walls in right here. And then once we've got these walls in, we can make this into kind of like our happy little living area. We'll put some beds in over on this side. We'll drop that airlock out. Maybe we might even knock out most of this wall, maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided. It's not going to happen until they get done harvesting all the biomass, but it is something that I wanted to focus on. But yeah, Starmancer was surprising this time around. I think that if you're looking to come back to the game expecting there to be like a ridiculous amount of content, the core gameplay loop, as it seems to be right now after having played the game for about 3 hours after 2 years of not playing it, is that there are 3 different sets of systems you can go to. It procedurally generates them inside of that sort of biome, and it costs you a different amount of money to go to each biome, and you just infinitely keep re-rolling things, and it seems like there are little events and things that can happen with different stations that spawn in, things of that nature along the way. If you're looking for the game to have just like ridiculous content density, after a year and a half, I don't think that it's got like a crazy amount of content depth, but if you wanted to take a look at the tech tree and see how big it is, the tech tree, it's got things to work on here. There's not like a huge amount, but there is some stuff that it's going to take you some time to get through. On top of that, I will say that the current structure of the game is a much stronger structure than the previous iteration that came out at launch, and that combined with the improvements that have been made to stability have me feeling a lot more encouraged about this game than the last time I played it. I didn't check back in on it for almost 2 years because I just kind of figured like, it was in pretty rough shape the last time that we played around with it. Aesthetically, it was very promising and quite pretty, but there were a lot of things that were busted here. I'm pleased to say that after a year and a half or so of being in early access and the developers going out of their way to restructure the overall flow of the game and sort of like the blueprint of the stages of early, mid, to late game, and also getting like logic problems under control, appears to have been mostly successful from my perspective. Now, keep in mind, I have not been building most of my manufacturing and whatnot on the inside. Outside of logic problems, one of my big main concerns with the earlier builds of the game was how frequently there was fires and how frequently there was major issues if you did any kind of manufacturing inside of the atmosphere of your base. I haven't got a chance to play around with that yet, so I don't know if that's been fixed. However, it's kind of a non-issue because it's supremely easy in this game to just make all of your industry out in the vacuum of space where fire can't happen anyways. And in fact, the game encourages you to do so. So like, it's kind of like a non-issue, I guess. My name is Splattercat. Hopefully this video on Starmancer helped you decide whether or not the game has been fixed up to where you want to revisit it and check the game on out. The development team does seem to be hitting their stride, their roadmap, now that they've got the game restructured on a low level and a lot of the logic problems fixed. They seem to be hitting the churn and burn phase of like content releases now. This week, after you watch this video, they just released like the first major wilderness sort of expansion, which added a bunch of stuff to the game. And so it's looking like, and they said specifically when that patch came out, after this, we're looking towards weapons, armor, gear, tactics, stuff like that for your guys, and like enemies and foes and things of that nature. So it sounds like now that they've got the game fixed, they're in full-on content production mode. And so keep an eye on it. Starmancer, my name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. I will catch you all next time. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll be back tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the indie skillet. That's all for me, folks. Bye-bye.